Hey guys, if you want to keep up with the Melon Party and everything we're doing, you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram under the Melon Party name.
Or you can reach us on the Melon Party hotline, 317-520-3168. Or shoot us over an email at themelonpartypod@gmail.com.
Now, let's party.
Yo, I was in the shower. Call me back.
What's up, guys? I'm Josh.
I'm Jared.
And as always, we have the man behind the curtain, the man with the ones and twos, BJ.
What up, age?
So, I just recently have learned that the Midwest has certain things that we do and we kind of have grown up with that other places don't.
Yeah.
And we especially know the lingo. Lingo is way different. It's different all over the country, and I think that's what's great. I love
Some
that.
sayings,
you know?
yeah.
But
things.
I didn't realize that being able to like smell rain is something that not everybody in the country can do. It's like a Midwest Southern thing.
Yeah, because I guess like there's the smell of ozone in the air or whatever. When the leaves can sense like the rain is coming, they start putting out like sensors that your body can pick up, and like that's a real Midwestern type of thing, I guess.
Yeah, because I just remember as like a kid, all the older people would be like, "Oh, well, we gotta get going." And
It's
the
gonna
rain came, the rain, and there wasn't like a cell phone to look at the radar.
Yeah, they didn't have the weather.
And they're like,
bug app.
I can smell it, I can feel it, and I'm like, man, one day I'm gonna have that power. And then you grow up and you do have that power as like, and then you don't realize it, But yeah, the Midwest has a lot of things like that.
There is, like you have sayings and kind of gestures and lingo and things. Like one of the most like common ones is, what do you call your beverage, carbonated beverage of choice? Is it if you want a Mountain Dew, hey, give me a pop. Hey, give me a soda.
Right.
Or it's
It's not a specific thing. It's like, you
your
want a
brand,
pop?
yeah. Say your brand of soda that you enjoy is Pepsi. In some places they'll say, if you only had Pepsi in your house, they'll say, hey, go get me a Coke.
Right.
They call it, typically throughout the United States, you're in three major kind of geographic regions. You've got your soda people, you've got your Coke people, and your pop people is what they call beverages.
Yeah, Coke. Coke did a good job is when their branding
That's
and their name
typically
is
in the South,
means
in
soda
Georgia.
or pop.
Coke is based in Georgia. It started in the South.
Yeah.
So most people call all sodas Coke in the South.
Yeah, I'm a soda. I say soda.
Yeah, I say soda now.
Some people
but
say
I
soda pop.
remember- some people
Soda
do
pop
say. I
McKenzie.
remember when I was younger, it was pop though.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody called it pop when I was little, but I feel like soda's now taking it over.
Well, my theory was it was soda pop, and then it's like everything else had dropped off geographically at some point in time.
Yeah.
I say soda because Steph's from the West Coast or East Coast. She's from Delaware.
right.
So I made fun of her when she moved here in '98, saying, "Why you say soda? I'll take a soda." It's stuck since then. So I've been saying soda since then. But I noticed when I travel the country, like they'll be like, "Hey, can I get a Coke?"
Yeah.
And then now they're correcting, like, "Well, we have Pepsi products."
Right.
But that's the first thing they start out with.
And in reality, like for me, like I'll say that, and they're like, "Oh, well, we carry Pepsi." I'm like, "Oh, well, yeah, Pepsi." Like to me, it's the Coke, Or if there's, and I think maybe too, at that time when this lingo was being created, there was only Pepsi and Coke. Now you got
Right.
Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew,
Yeah.
Diet Pepsi. You have all these. At that time when it first came out, these were a big, and they were treated as like a treat.
Yeah.
So you like now we go and do like, hey man, you want to go grab a cup of coffee? Sure. Back in those days, it was like, hey, let's go down to the diner and we'll grab a Coke. And then you would sit and have a Coke and talk
Because they were
and
like
hang out.
fountain drinks
Yeah,
back
it-
then, where
it-
they were self-mixed with their
Yeah,
own soda
yeah, and it
and
was
syrup
an
or whatever.
experience,
Right.
thing. It was like
Right.
this new kind of thing,
Right.
and now it's like we got cases of it. We sit in
Yeah.
houses and stuff. It's like a
30
normal
different
thing,
brands now. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I pretty much call it soda now, but I remember definitely being 100% calling it pop when I was younger.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I think
But
pop,
I think I
but
just grew
now
out
it's
of it as I
soda.
moved away from Seymour.
Yeah, because I think now anything that is carbonated, I just call soda. Along those lines. I mean, we're carbonating all kinds of shit like green teas and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
like, I think that's where it just came. Where it's like, oh, it's just soda because it is soda. It's a soda water. It just has syrup in it, in a lot of sense. So, Another big thing, and this is a big joke on the internet and stuff, but it's so true, and I say it probably easily 10 times a day. Oop.
Yep.
Oop.
Yep.
Oop.
Yep.
Oop. Come around the corner and someone's there. Oh. Or coming through a door. Oh. Or when you're trying to, I'm just going to squeeze by. Oh,
yeah, you're in the grocery store. Your carts are kind of in the way. Oh, let me squeeze by here. Oh, let me get through here.
Yeah, and it's like, it's more of a reaction sound than it is a word for me, the way I use it,
OPE is really like kind of the definitive version of it. Oh. It's like the Canadian A.
Hey, yeah.
So like it's kind of the Midwest, version of the Canadian A. But Josh pointed it out the other day, and I didn't realize how much I say it as well.
I say it so much.
I
to the point I'll say it to like a stranger, as like we're coming through a doorway together in like a restaurant or something. I'll say it, and then as I'm walking, I just start like laughing to myself. I'm like, well, fuck, there it is. And it's just so unnatural. Like it's so natural that it's like I don't really realize it, And so, and now that like it's kind of becoming a meme and a joke on the internet and stuff, and now like I'm more self-aware about it, and it just kind of cracks me up because it's so true with that. What's some other stuff you can think of? I mean, the goodbye.
The Midwest goodbye is notorious.
30 minutes long,
at least.
Especially at a party.
In like 3 different phases, say you're at like a house party, right? You say goodbye to everybody. Some people are in the living room. You say goodbye to them for 10 minutes.
But the door's 100 feet away.
Yeah, I know, but you got to go through the kitchen. There's 5 more people. You got to say goodbye to them for 20 minutes, and then by that time you've got to use the restroom. You go use the restroom, you come back. Then you got to say goodbye to the people in the living room again. You got to say goodbye to the people in the kitchen again. Then you move on. There's people out front having
Can't backtrack, or you like you're saying you have to say it again.
Goodbye to them on the front porch that are having a smoke, and then you stand outside and you slowly keep kind of just a little bit farther away and a little bit farther away, and then you'd be like, well, yeah, and then you clap your hands, or you like kind of put your hands on your knees if you're sitting down, be like, well,
you talk.
It's been real, and as soon as that whelp comes out of your mouth, you're clear.
Over. That's the period.
You're clear.
Yeah,
you could sprint to your car right then and still be safe culturally in Indiana.
Yeah, because you basically have talked to where there's nothing else to say.
You've exhausted all conversation,
and the last person, you kind of looking at each other for a few seconds.
And
like,
you have that look.
Right, yeah, this
you're
is
like,
over.
Okay, we've did it.
It's over.
Okay, and I'm going now.
Yeah, and that's why as I get older, I'm a straight up. I'm out.
Yeah.
Hit me on a text or whatever.
Bye.
I'll leave and then shoot a text, but I appreciate everything, like for inviting or whatever, because of that. And then if somebody does it to me, where it's like, oh, where's so-and-so? Oh, they left. Oh, okay, cool. I understand.
Yeah.
But I think also that might just be a Midwest cultural
we're more talkative than most,
right? But it's also like a respect kind of thing. It's like we need to make sure everyone we say goodbye and we give them.
We didn't feel like we're shunning them.
Yeah,
or
I'm trying to think of a word.
Out.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to think of something where it's like it's along with the respect, a courtesy. It's a Midwest courtesy. It's like I want everyone to make sure they know I'm leaving, and then I appreciate it.
Yeah. Good to see them. Good best to all your family.
And because it's like a humble, like in the Midwest, we do have like a very humbling style like that. And the South, I think the South and Midwest are kind of their own. We just have our own separate ways of doing certain things that we both
socially
do,
and culturally,
but they're kind of different. And it's kind of the same with man, dude, I really like those new shoes. Oh, thanks, man. I actually got them on a deal. They were for sale. Like, we have to let people know that we got. It's like, because they're normally $200, but I got them for $80. You can't pass up on that because you don't want people to think like when they say it's like, I got them. They're smart money, And so it's like, hold on, like I'm still at your level.
This was a bargain. I got this at TJ Maxx.
I'm not wearing them because I think I'm better than you. It's just I found them on a great deal.
That's absolutely true. Absolutely got to tell somebody if you got it on a deal.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And I'm that way.
I didn't think about that. I do that too. Like, yeah, man, got it on fucking Black Friday's deal, man. It's cheap as fuck.
Or it's like, there has to be an explanation. It's like, man, I really like the new haircut. Oh, well, it's
so
like,
funny. I didn't even think about that.
I thought I'd switch it up a little bit. I didn't like, there's always got to be this like humbling, like, don't think of because people we see compliment. We struggle with taking compliments.
Sure, yeah.
And so we see a compliment as somebody is looking at us like we're higher. It's like, no.
Yeah,
don't think
put
that
me
way.
on a
And it's
pedestal,
only on
right.
us. Like
Right.
most of the time people
Yeah,
are just
it's
saying
just a
something. Yeah, they're just
self-perception.
being kind.
Right.
And then we take that kindness like, oh shit, what are they thinking
Yeah,
of me then?
yeah.
Like, okay, I got to bring this all the way down to their level, and it's like, it's a really strange thing. And it's very common.
Midwestern, values are a little kind of just, they're a little antiquated, they're very conservative,
Yeah.
like very polite, yes sir, no sir for a long time when you're brought up, and yes ma'am, no ma'am, and
Well, we take respect, showing respect and that kind of thing to people. We take that very seriously.
very seriously.
And so I think we're raised at a very young age. Like even my kids today, like even from me, I'll hand them something. They'll ask me to get them something, and I'll hand them something. And if they don't say anything, my son will turn around, like I'll flip them in the ear.
Like,
Like,
yeah,
what?
say-
What? I'm like, I just got you something, man.
Say please and
oh,
thank you.
thanks, Dad. And it's like,
Please and thank you is the least
Yeah,
you can do for people.
yeah, and it's
even
like-
when I'm
it's-
like ordering fast food, or especially when I'm dealing with any kind of service related
Oh, yeah.
industry person, I'm always incredibly polite because these people are making fucking nothing. They got to deal with the worst fucking people.
yeah, they
in
didn't
the
ask me to
world
come in.
every day, So the thing I'm going to do, I'm like, oh yeah, how you doing? If they say, if they give their greeting, even if I can tell that their soul is absolutely rended and destroyed, they're like, hi, welcome to Walgreens. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh hey, thanks man, how you doing?
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
And even if just you ask them how they're doing, they're like, oh, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
And they seem like literally that's the only positive thing that is going to happen to them that day,
Yeah.
is the way they always take it. And I'm just like, damn, bro, I'm so glad I don't have your fucking job.
Yeah, and I get so furious when I go. I get furious when I show kindness and then the person's just like quiet or whatever, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah,
like,
come
because
on,
I
man.
really
Like, be
don't.
a human.
Yeah, like I don't really give a shit, man. Like I'm trying to
But-
play this game that we've created in our society.
Right.
I'm playing my part. Like,
Come on,
I'm
man.
throwing the assist.
Give it back here.
Finish the dunk.
Yeah,
you
come
know,
on,
like
man.
this is what we're
Finish.
supposed to do. Why are we not do? I understand your shit sucks. I understand that. That's why
That
I'm
must
trying to
be
come
some
with a positive
Midwestern shit,
attitude.
too.
Like,
I
hey,
don't know.
man, like let's get 20 seconds of like kindness
Real
to
life.
each other.
Yeah,
just
you
to
know.
be kind to each other
Let's
for
get a
20
little
seconds,
empathy here.
and then we'll move on. And
Your
you
life's
can't even.
bad, my life's not perfect.
Yeah,
man.
you can't do that. That kind of it's petty. That angers
Yeah,
me, and I mean it's dumb for it to anger me as much as it does. But that's one thing that does bother me.
I think Midwest people are sociopaths.
Yeah,
The reason is I've been thinking about this myself because I'm not a real likable person.
don't be hard on yourself.
I'm an introvert and I like being an introvert.
Yeah.
But if I walk into public, it's the other day went to Walmart to get a printer cartridge for the printer toner for the printer up front.
You spent $270.
No, there was only 90.
Could have bought a new fucking printer for that.
Yeah, I just bought a new thermal printer for work where you can print it from your phone, but I digress. But I was just like, "Hey, how are you, Peter? Cool. Hey, thank you. I really appreciate your help. All right, have a great day, Peter." And I walk outside and I'm just like, and it's just like all of a sudden it just goes away.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, as soon as I walk into the gas station
Right.
and I think it was Nate or someone's like, "Man, you're a sociopath," and I was like, "What do you mean?" It's like, when you're out in public, like you're like the world's nicest guy, and it's scary nice.
This is exactly how our friend Jim was.
Yeah.
You know, like he worked in HR. He despised people.
Oh,
Was
I
an
can't
HR head of HR, like an HR executive, and despised people.
I can't stand people, and I lead people for a living.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Well, that's with me. It's like I'll talk to anybody.
Sure.
You know, but like I'm not gonna go up and talk to you. Like if you want
Right.
to come and talk to me, let's fucking talk. And there's been a lot of times where I'd be quiet at places or whatever, and somebody would come up because they're like, "Oh, he's by himself." I'm like, "That's what I want." You know,
Yeah,
but they
right,
would come and
yeah.
talk, and then I'd start talking, and I could see like their attitude. Like Ticket's like, I should have probably never came and talked to this guy, because if you want to talk about something that I'm really into and you've
Sure.
never met me before,
Gonna be passionate about it.
I'm
and
passionate.
and
I
chew
talk.
your
I
ear.
talk with my hands. Like I come at you, you know, and so it catches people off because I can sit by myself quiet, and then if I get that conversation, my whole attitude changes, and people are like, "Whoa, that's not what I expected." But that's the thing too. As I get older, being an introvert, it's exhausting. Doing all that is tiring.
Yes.
And so like when you go and I'm out doing all this stuff and even like doing this, like sitting here and just talking this much, doing
Yeah.
these 2 episodes, talking for 3 hours or whatever, I go home and I just want to sit for like 30 minutes by myself.
Yeah,
and
decompress.
quiet,
That's what's great about
and-
my drive home from here. You know, I can just kind of
That's true. Yeah.
decompress
And that's
think
what-
about what we spoke about.
That's what people were shocked about, like when they found I did podcasts and stuff like. They're like, I didn't even know you talked outside of work.
Yeah.
Because I'll go with stuff with my wife, and I'll very polite. Hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. Like your house, but I won't like start talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you have something. But this is the thing is like there's a lot of being a bartender and
right,
and growing up being very talkative and outgoing.
That's how I was.
I've
younger,
had
too.
every conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
I've talked about everything. I've heard everyone's
Yes.
quote unquote opinion on
Yeah.
stuff. It's regurgitated stuff. I've heard all of it.
Yes.
So like what I want to hear is something interesting.
Yes.
I want to hear something weird, interesting,
personal.
personal. Like I don't want
Yeah.
to talk about what everyone else is talking about on
Yeah.
TV.
Right.
We've already heard that. And with social
Yes.
media, I think social media has really done that because you have to
Yes.
hear everyone's
Yes.
regurgitated so opinion, depending
Right.
on the talking head that they believe in, that makes their brain feel wiggly when they hear certain things. And
Yeah,
so, like, I don't
that's
want to
the
talk
scourge.
about that. Like,
Yeah.
I've already heard it. I've already read other people's opinions, and you're
Right.
going to have probably the same stuff, or you're going to say the same shit because you got it from the same source that they've got it from. So, like, I don't really. The small talk gets harder and harder for me,
Yeah.
and it gets more and more exhausting. But
Yeah,
I
that's
do
why I'm
like
quiet,
I
too.
do like talking. I just don't want to
too.
talk about just anything just to
That's how I am.
talk. You know, I'd rather sit and be quiet. And now the
Still
people,
waters run deep, they say. You
well,
know?
and too, and a lot of time now, a lot of the people that like with when my wife and I first started dating, I spent a lot of time with her friends, and I still do today. We live close to a lot of her friends and stuff, and now they've become my friends over time. But early on, man, there were some of them that really. They didn't think I liked them,
Right,
or
yeah.
they really struggled with trying to get in a relationship, and they would always think like, oh, well, Josh is bored. I'm not bored. I'm just being quiet. Like I
Yeah.
listen a lot. I'll listen to everything you're saying and stuff.
Sure.
But a lot of times too, also with me, if you're talking about something that I really have no idea about, I
Yeah.
don't say shit. Like I
Right.
don't know
You
anything
wanna
about it.
contribute to the subject.
Yeah, well, and
'cause
it's
you don't
like
have anything
I'm
to
not.
contribute,
Yeah, I'm not bringing it. I wouldn't want somebody who, if I'm having a really good, deep
Yes.
conversation about something I know quite a bit, and I finally found someone who does too, and we're having that,
Right.
and then you've got this
Person
C
who's-
character that just throwing
yeah.
shit. It's like that's not bringing anything. Like I don't
Right.
want to be that, you know. But yeah, it can be very, very, very exhausting. But yeah, I come off as unfriendly. Some people have told me that I'm intimidating.
I get that a lot.
and I don't. And I'm not,
So much.
I know I'm not meaning to be that. That's
I
not
get
what
that
I'm wanting.
so much.
I'm okay with not speaking. I'm okay with people. I can go to a huge house party and just sit by myself and nobody say shit to me and still have a good time and be fine. And people will be like, "Oh, I'm sure you didn't have a good. I had a fucking great time." Like I'm just
so
not
different from when I was younger too. I mean, when I was younger and all through college, even through college in like
Yeah.
Bloomington till I was like 25, I was an insane person. I would talk to anybody about
Yeah. I
anything.
wanted to be
and
around
anything.
people.
People were my drug. I
Yeah.
needed people around me. And you know, like as soon as I started working in the people business in the restaurant, I lost that quick.
Yeah.
You know, like it became work.
Yeah.
You know, so when I left work, you know, like I didn't crave that need for people because I just had 10 hours.
Yeah.
of it,
When you're doing service,
you know, and I'm just like, now I just want to go and like turn my brain off, you know, like fall into something interesting, you know,
Yeah.
have a good deep conversation or, you know, listen to some good music, watch a documentary or a movie I've never seen or something. And,
Yeah.
you know, just fall into that kind of, you know, content canyon or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a Midwest related thing or not, but I mean that's probably just us because we're similar people.
Yeah, I think that's just introvert. But I would think that. But on related to Midwestern, I think that most Midwesterns aren't introverts. Though.
No, not at all.
The same with
they want to
Southern.
like talk to their neighbor. They're
Yeah.
nosy. They want to know everybody's
Yes, yeah,
business. They
yeah.
want to talk about everybody's business.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's
like,
it's not a bad thing.
that's just
Or
the
not-
way they
not-
are.
Yeah, that's just who
fine,
you are.
You know, it's fine.
And
you know?
people crave the validation
Of
from people and
others,
stuff like that. Like
yes,
for
and
me,
falling into that hierarchy of small towns.
yeah, and like for me
Midwestern
being an
things.
introvert, my validation I want for myself. I want because I'm a harder critic than anybody somebody else on myself.
Exactly.
So I'm not looking for validation from anybody else.
Exactly.
I need
don't
to find the
care.
validation
For
within my
sure.
own circus
For
brain,
sure.
you know.
For sure.
And it
for
doesn't mean I'm not the thing is, once you get to know me, I'm Midwestern as fuck. Like, I love I tell people all the time, like, oh, you, because they knew I lived in Chicago and stuff like that. I was like, no, I'm country. Like, I grew up country. I've got a lot of redneck and stuff. I got a twang that a lot of people living in Chicago, they would just be looking at me and be like, where are you from?
They'd always say
they'd
that
be like,
shit
they'd
to
be like,
us
your
up there.
twang is like familiar, but it's not familiar.
Right.
Because it's our twang's a bastardized version
Right.
of the North and
In the
South, because we're
South,
in the Midwest.
right in the middle of it.
And people
yeah.
were like, "Oh, you're from Indiana." I was like, "Yeah, I'm basically from the South." And went, "No, you're not. Indiana's not." It's like Highway 50 runs through my town, which basically separates the
that's
country
like
from
the
north to
Mason
south.
Dixon line
yeah.
is like 60 miles south of us.
Yeah,
you
I was
know,
like, we're 40 minutes from Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and a lot of the people a lot of, like, my family, my grandparents' side came from Kentucky, from the hill. You know, it's like, so yeah, we're Southern in a way.
Yeah.
It's just we're Midwestern also. You know.
Which reminds me, you know, like another thing about Midwesterns, like people that I didn't realize until I moved to like Chicago and Texas, and not so much in Texas, but in like Chicago and Los Angeles specifically, is like people driving in the Midwest. They're just like, they'll drive anywhere.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
when you were growing up, you get to take like a family vacation to Florida. You drove 20 hours straight through in the night to get there.
You tell somebody out of state that now, it's like, oh, as a
Yeah.
kid, we would drive from Indiana to Florida. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's like a 20-hour drive. Be like,
Yeah.
yeah, we blow it up that one night.
Yeah.
You know, and like, yeah, you ask anybody in the Midwest, be like, what? It's only a 5-hour drive
Yeah,
to get there.
just
That's
drive.
nothing.
Just drive.
Just
It's
go
5
on
hours.
up there. Just 5 hours.
It's 5 hours.
You
Just
think
drive.
about that, like
you'd be there in 4.5
objectively.
if you go to the
You get
bathroom
good
before,
traffic, yeah, and
or
eat
you
your breakfast.
you leave at the right time. You get there in 4.5.
But then you think about that objectively, 5 hours in a goddamn car.
Anywhere else in the world,
That's-
including parts of America, but like in
you
London,
could traverse
nobody.
all of Europe in 5
Yeah.
hours in a car.
Yeah, you tell people that, and they're like, Jesus, like I could be out of the country, you know?
Yeah, dude. Like,
But yeah, it ain't nothing
they
to jump
will
in the
just
car and knock
hop in
4
that
hours
car,
out.
be like, yeah, we're going to Nashville this weekend.
Yeah.
We're going to leave on Friday morning.
We'll be
I took
back
Friday
Sunday.
off. We'll be out on Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, we do that a lot with our trip, you know, take a half day Friday, get in the truck, drive down to
It's fucking
Burkesville,
crazy, man.
Del Hollow.
500 fucking miles, you know.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy
Nothing.
in a car, bro.
Nothing.
Because, I mean, there's nothing around here.
Yeah.
You know, you got to drive somewhere to get somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
And your car
if
is
you're
a
living
part
in
of you.
Freetown, you know, like it takes 2 hours to go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
You got to come into town. That's 30 minutes. You got to spend an hour and a couple. You got to go to a few different places if you're
Yeah.
coming into town. You don't just come into town to go to one place.
No. Well,
You
that's
come in
why
there, you go to Walmart, you go to the grocery store, you pick up some Pizza King. You know, you fucking get some videos or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and
whatever.
it's also why as you get older as a Midwestern or you retire, like a lot of retired men have brand new nice vehicles.
Yeah.
Because it's something they're going to use and they're going to use for the next 15 years.
Right.
And it's like the first thing is like I never had a new truck off the floor,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And you buy that and now it's because it's
Yeah.
part of you. And when we were living in Chicago, I got a lot of comments from Chicagoans who we befriended and stuff, and they would get in my car and they look in the back seat and it'd be July and like, why do you have a hoodie?
Hoodie,
Or why do you
yeah.
have like clothes? It's like you
Blankets.
never know when you're gonna need it. You
Yeah,
know, it's like
dude.
growing up in Indiana, I mean a hoodie and shorts. That's a nice day.
That's
60,
8 months
65,
out of the year
yeah.
you could rock that weather.
So, but
that
then
gear.
like you're starting out the day in a sweatshirt, but by 1 o'clock you're in a tank
It's like
top or a
50
t-shirt.
degrees this morning when I woke
Yeah.
up outside. I tell you,
His soccer game
walked
was a little
outside
chilly
to the
at first.
front door and I was like, damn, I had to stop the dogs. And I had to grab the hoodie off my hook off my
Yeah.
front door. I was like, fuck, it's
So
cold as
like,
fuck
and I think that's
outside.
another thing. Like in Indiana, especially, is
Yeah,
like you
no.
have different types of clothes
weather
in the back, or you
patterns.
always. Growing up, always keep a jacket.
Always
Keep a jacket in your car in case you need it.
Always
you know?
dress
What if-
warmer than what you think you're gonna need because
Yeah.
you can always take a layer off.
or what if you get stranded and you got to walk?
Yeah,
You know, you
dog.
need to have some clothes to make sure you get through that. You know,
That reminds me of a story. So I was fucking like, we were coming. It was with Jesse and Josh Inkelking, and we were coming back from like a basketball game in Seymour, about the Freetown. This was like right after high school, so 99, 2000, right there. And Jesse was driving his little white Ford Mercury Topaz, and he had like a
The egg?
lever.
The
The
egg?
egg, yeah, he had like a lever in his console that was like the seatbelt, like alarm or whatever. And if you flick it up and make the bing, bing, bing ding noise and sound like the door was open.
Yeah.
And like I was sitting in the back seat, Josh and Jesse were in the front seat, and he hit that lever and kept telling me my door was open. He's like, "Hey, the door alarm's going off, Jared. Your door's open." Was fucking with me, So I open my door and I slam it, and he's like, he keeps doing it for like 3 minutes, and I'm like slamming the door harder and harder, and finally he's like, "Will you please get that door closed?" So I open it, and I absolutely slam it as hard as I can. And as soon as I slam that door, the whole car dies. I killed the car. Turned it off somehow by slamming the door.
Yeah, rocked it.
I swear to God, dude, it wouldn't start back up. And we're in Crothersville.
Oh, yeah.
Or not, Cortland.
Cortland, yeah.
We just left Seymour, and we're in
You're right.
Cortland.
You're halfway in between.
So the car won't start. We don't have cell phones. This is 2000, right before cell phones.
Find a house.
We went to a house. It's pretty late after a basketball game. It's like 10:30, 11-ish. We went and got food, I think, after. So we go and knock on this guy's house
Hopefully
at 11 o'clock.
they have a cordless phone that they can hand to you outside.
And this is exactly what happened. But the dude answered the door with a 357 Magnum
Yeah.
in his
Yeah. Yeah.
We knock on the door, 3 dudes, and he's just like some like old middle-aged white dude. And I see he's got his hand behind his back, and we're like, "Our car died. Can we please use your phone to call somebody to help us?" And he's like looking at us. "Stay right there." And I see him turn around, dude. Yeah, big King Cobra chrome 357 mag revolver.
He'll put all 3 of you down one bullet.
Oh man, hand cannon, and we all 3 when he turns around see it. We all just our eyes get as big as saucers and look at us. So eventually, he calls Jesse's dad. Jesse's dad comes out, opens the trunk where the fuel pump is. I had turned it off by slamming the door so close. I had a switch on it. The fuel pump was right there on the same side in the trunk, underneath where like the spare is. I had a switch on it, and I'd slammed the door so hard I turned the fuel pump on. Jesse's dad came out there, flicked it on.
That's crazy.
Up. But yeah, got a little off track there. But
that's fine. Yeah,
that's
but that's like living out here. It's like that's why
357 mag. Oh, he gave me the phone, had a cordless phone. Yeah, handed it to us out the
I've
door.
had them handed to me through the window. We'd always, because most of these houses would be like ranch style where you have a window on each side of the door, and they're just like, "I'll hand it through the window," and they, you
They'll
would never
help
even see.
you, but they don't trust you because I mean, the only crime that's around here is theft, property crime.
Yeah,
people steal around here because they're poor or they're addicts or whatever. So there's a lot of
desperation.
property crime.
Yeah, a lot of desperation.
A lot of property crime in the Midwest for sure. That's you're gonna steal some shit.
So that's some Midwest stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a
trying
ton
to
of
think
Midwest
of I was
things.
trying
Like,
to think of some
I'm
more.
sure there are other things. I mean, you've got like your food things. You got jumbo tenderloins
Salt,
in Indiana.
salt or sugar for your watermelon.
Yeah,
a lot of people do
salt on their beer as
Salt,
well. Yeah. So, I mean, there's weird things like that. I know.
We're also the testing capital of America, so a lot of fast food chains use their new items here to see how well they do, which is awesome. I'm all for. Taco Bell brings us all the good shit.
I'll try your triple cheese chalupa dipped in Cheeto sauce.
Yeah,
whatever.
and
Bring it on.
And we've had Mountain Dew flavors that other parts of the world have never seen.
We're like the
tasted.
Tokyo of the United States.
We are the Dew,
where they have like the black burgers.
Yeah,
and shit and stuff.
We
you get all that weird shit in the
We
Midwest.
are the Dew, man.
Sure,
we are
dude.
definitely the test.
Yeah, you go to like a gas station and look at the sodas, like in the Midwest, dude, compared to like the South or Chicago.
Like I
I
hate going out right outside. Like even like in Missouri, when you get a little further in Missouri and you go to their gas stations, you're like, this shit is fucking lame.
Terrible.
You know, like they don't even have all the little Debbies.
They
don't have nothing. Dude.
Nothing. The gas stations in the Midwest are hot, boy.
Yeah. Well, too, and like a lot of gas stations in the Midwest and also in the South, you get into like real fucking small towns, like a Cortland or something that's in Tennessee, and you'll go to their gas stations,
only thing in
fucking
town.
kick ass because
it's
they got all the food.
Yeah, that's the
You
grocery
get
store
some-
for people within 20 miles out
But
there
then
in
they
the
also
middle of
got
fucking
hot
nowhere.
fucking chicken
Yeah,
right
they
there
got
for
roasted
you.
chicken.
Yeah, whatever.
Like a Subway.
Yeah,
in
and
it
it's
or
like that's what
something.
people eat like 5 times a week. They eat there,
yeah,
in that town because that's all they've got
Hell
when it
yeah.
comes to like restaurants or food and shit. Because it's the only gas station in like a 30-mile radius at that time. So that's another cool thing. Because sometimes I do drive, especially depending on who I'm with or I'm by myself, and I go past like a gas station. that I see, and I'm like, oh, and it's got some sort of little vibe to it or something.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, oh, on my way back home, I'm gonna swing in there, and that's
Yeah.
why I always go look
Check
around
'em out.
and see what they've got, because
Yeah.
a lot of those gas stations, convenience stores are more than that because they have to be, because there ain't anything else out there, and there's a market for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I be walking around Seymour all the time, walking the dogs, and I just I wish it was, more walkable and like they had more like little shops or like, boutique groceries. I wish I could walk to like get my groceries and there were like little grocers in like neighborhoods like they used to have back in the day.
Bodegas and stuff.
Exactly. Like a little like shop that I could like walk to, and like maybe I don't drink coffee, but like go and get something like that in like a morning and grab a few things or whatever. Man, I would love to live in like a community that was like walkable like that, where you could just, that was the cool thing about Los Angeles. The place was so fucking big.
Chicago's the same way.
You could walk anywhere and get somewhere.
I mean, Megan and I lived in Chicago with one car.
Yeah, I didn't have a car the whole time I lived in Chicago.
We had our grocery store was
7 years,
fucking
no car.
200 feet from us. We had
Yeah,
restaurants just down our street.
That's
Any
the
kind
one,
of
yeah.
restaurant you wanted. And-
Definitely having that in the Midwest, not unless you live in a big city.
Right, the big cities do it, but yeah, in the Midwest,
drive
it's like
everywhere.
you got to drive, man.
took
And
me
even
an hour to get to
even a bike isn't reasonable.
The bus picked us up in Freetown. The school bus.
Yeah,
7 a.m. is when you had to get the bus picked us up.
you'd be on that bitch for an hour.
We had to be on it for because we had to go all the way through fucking Freetown and
Yeah.
then drive to Brownstown.
Yeah,
Because they had to pick up like 9 or 10 kids that would be living all out through fucking Freetown.
man. Thinking back at like
And
the
then the
bus drivers
snow
that
and
had to
shit,
deal
dog.
with you guys like that
Dog,
long.
bro. They would kick us off the bus.
Yeah, because like my kids, they get picked up and they're literally on the bus for like 10 minutes. And that's right around the corner, And I'll think about some of these
Cheese
drivers,
wagon.
man. It's like, fuck, dude. Some of these drivers that had to deal with us for a
buses,
long
bro.
time, every day, twice a day. They're spending like an hour and a half with us every day.
Terrible, bro.
Feel bad for
I
them.
hate that, dude.
Had great bus drivers though.
I was walking around, Seymour, and when I was walking around the dogs, another thing that I noticed as well, obviously in Indiana, it's got to be way more prevalent than anywhere else, and I was wondering, what do you think the percentage of basketball hoops on homes in Indiana is?
It's up there, but
40%?
yeah, but what's even higher? The metal stars.
The red metal star. Oh, those metal fucking stars are everywhere.
We have one in our living room, and I've asked Megan before, like, what the fuck?
That's a
is
Midwest
this?
thing.
Yeah.
That's a Midwest, like German or Dutch thing.
I remember-
I've looked them up too.
Yeah, we brought our
they're
buddy
fucking
Mason
everywhere.
from Chicago. He'd never been really to Indiana
That's
at all.
right, yes,
and
'cause
the
he
things that
notices
blew
that
his
shit.
mind. Oh yeah,
He always
that was
notices
one
weird
thing he
shit like
noticed.
that.
He's like, man, what is all? Is this like cults or like religious stuff? I was like, we don't know. We
don't
never
put-
noticed it.
Those are like crosses or
Yeah,
something
because
or
we just.
something.
I remember
Those
telling him, I was like,
fucking
I
red
never
stars,
noticed
those
it until you brought it
10
up.
Stars.
And then the funniest
everywhere.
thing, man, because we came down to visit Bloomington to see Big Al, and to hang with Alan and Heidi, and I think who else? There's somebody else. We were coming down to hang out with them.
Yeah, Steve.
And
probably.
because I think Mason wanted to shoot some guns or something.
Yeah.
So we come down, did that, and then we went to Seymour to see my mom on the way back. And funniest thing, he's talking about a guy that grew up in the city.
Yeah. Grew up in
He
Evanston.
said, he goes, man, like I didn't realize even all in the small towns that there's so many people that use mopeds for transportation. And I remember going, hey bud, if you see somebody on a moped here, it's because they're on their third DUI.
Yeah, dog. They
It has
can't
nothing to
drive
do-
nothing else.
It has nothing to do
bro.
with saving gas or being environmental friendly, or that's what they have to do because they don't need a license to
the
fucking drive
mopeds,
it.
They're everywhere. in
And he was like,
Seymour, man.
"Oh, because then when you go to Chicago, there's every type
Yeah.
of vehicle you can imagine is in Chicago.
Sure.
Everybody uses it. Electric
Sure.
scooters, mopeds,
Moped,
everything.
motorcycles.
And it's like because that's what they use to get around. It's quicker, it's easier, like it's cheaper for a lot of people. They don't have to find parking for a lot of
Right.
times. So, but like it's just he's seeing that. It's like, oh man, I didn't know
Those
small towns
10
had the same
stars.
ideas. And then this 10 stars driving through Freetown and all that. We took like
Yeah, dude.
446 or whatever. I made sure to take him through the forest and stuff.
Right, through the
that way to
forestry, yeah.
get out to Bloomington. And yeah, he was just like, man, what is with all these stars? And I was like, man, I never noticed it because it's just a thing,
They're
and they're painted
everywhere.
different. Some people paint them different
Red,
colors and stuff, and
They're those tin,
like who's making those? Because they've got to be doing well with themselves.
It's an old frontier like iconography. It means something.
Yeah.
It's something from back on the old farming days of when we were purely agrarian,
Makes sense.
before we were more developed. But yeah, I looked them up as well. But yeah, I mean, like I was walking the dogs, and I'm just like in Seymour and in Indiana, I'm just like, I mean, there's a basketball goal on damn near half the houses, and I'm just like, that's got to be like one of the highest concentrations anywhere of basketball goals.
Especially over garages.
Yeah.
Like that was a big thing connected to the house. And then you could always see them. And the thing is, in Indiana, people would go buy a new house for themselves, and it would come with the basketball goal. They would never use it, but never take it down.
Never take it
It would just
down.
be there.
Yeah.
And that goal would look rough.
Yeah, be like the net hanging on for life, all rusted.
And
yeah.
holes in the wood backboard and shit, and like the paint's all flaked off. But that's what's crazy is like if you buy a house in the Midwest and it comes with a basketball goal, it stays there whether you use it or not.
100%.
Like it's just that's part of
It's
Indiana.
gonna stay.
The basketball goal comes with it.
Yeah. I think there's a law that says you can't remove it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like if you take it down, you have to donate one somewhere else.
Yeah. You get fined.
Yeah, you catch a fine on your property taxes for taking down the goal. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of stuff randomly like that in the Midwest that, like, I think I mentioned this in the past before when I moved out west and lived in Los Angeles with Mike for a year. We had a Thanksgiving out there, and I was telling people about corning.
Yeah.
Like, what's corning? It's where you take handfuls of hard feed corn and throw it at people's houses,
Yeah.
Like, that's literally it. And they're like, yeah, and when I, told them, like, yeah, it's just like, like toilet paper in some ways or shaving creaming or egging. We would corn people. And they were like, wow.
Ditch and run, that's what we just mess
ding
with.
dong ditch.
Yeah, we were bored, and so we go fuck with other people. Like that's what we
We
did.
definitely didn't call it ding dong ditch. I'm sorry. We
Yeah.
are 100% racist in Indiana when we were younger. And
That was one thing that I didn't realize.
You didn't realize. Same thing
They
with
look back.
geodes.
Yeah.
That
there was
had
a term of
racist
geos,
names. You
yeah.
didn't. You're just kids, and that's what
What
they
I
were
was
called
told.
by everybody else. You called
Yeah.
them that until you said it in the wrong company and
Yeah.
realized that you were like,
Get straightened
"Oh,
out. Get straightened out.
now I'm a racist." That's terrible.
No, you're not a racist. You're just being.
You
racist.
are being racist.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah,
that's part of being in the Midwest as well, is having that realization one time that a lot of the
Well, the times
things
we
that
grew
you
up
were
in.
learned and taught when you were younger
Yeah.
weren't necessarily PC.
Yeah, and the thing is that we didn't know that because nobody was looking over their shoulder before they said it.
That's
You got to
true.
give that double look first and let people.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Something's coming.
Let me tell you a joke here, and then they look over both shoulders. Oh, here comes some racism.
Yeah, here it comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me check
Yeah.
check this periphery here.
And then
all right, we're all clear.
And then they're a little bit quieter too when they say it,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
When they tell you the punchline,
Yeah.
racist, hilarious.
So let us know.
Yeah, tell us about some if you're from the Midwest
Yeah.
somewhere. Let us know some things that may be weird.
There's
about.
so many of them, and I think it's one of those things that you don't realize it until you're like, oh, there it is. I remember that now. Or, oh, that's one of those things.
Yeah.
And there might be something that we do that we don't know that we like I said, the smell and rain. I thought was just something humans earned as we got older.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah, that's
Thought it was that.
That's acquired skill.
I thought that was what we just naturally earned here from the ghosts of the Native Americans that we slaughtered over the lands. That was
the colonialism
Yeah.
genes that we bred out of.
I think the Midwest thing also is the sayings that we have.
Yeah.
It's raining. It's raining like a cow piss on a flat rock.
yeah.
You're as worthless as hen shit on a pump handle.
Yeah.
Worthless as tits on a boar.
Yeah.
This grass is asshole deep on a 10-foot Indian.
Yeah.
What was the? It's raining like pouring piss out of a boot. Well, it's
Yeah.
like, why would
Or
it be?
no, yeah, like
why would be a piss? Why would there be piss in a boot?
Yeah, why were you pouring-
There's
yeah.
another one I've heard piss in a boot too. Is like, you're so stupid you couldn't pour piss out of the boot with instructions on the sole.
Yep, that's one.
Yeah, why is there piss in
Yeah,
a
or
boot?
you
anyway?
couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yeah, you couldn't hit water falling out of a boat.
Yeah. Yeah, there's tons of those.
Yeah, when you're playing basketball and you're missing a lot,
Yeah.
you get so many quips like that.
Yeah.
You know, like on the court, playing ball, growing up, you're playing terrible. You're getting absolutely trashed by somebody on
Yeah.
the court somewhere with the dumbest insults
Dumbest.
like that. Like the dumbest country insults.
One-
I seen better hands on a snake.
Yeah. One of my favorite basketball ones that I didn't hear until went to college and I started playing basketball with players from like Gary, Indiana, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., New
Yeah.
York, like street baller guys. And I remember one game, man. So we made most of our money in college playing basketball at the park against people, you know, and so that's where we made most of our money because we didn't get money for
Per diem or anything.
for playing basketball for school and stuff. So we had to go make our money by hustling at the park. And there's the one game, man, I just couldn't hit shit. And my buddy PJ at that time looks at me at the end of the game and he goes, "Man, you just a no Jay Simpson."
No Jay Simpson.
And I went, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, you're just a no Jay Simpson." And I was like, "Oh, that's good." I still use that today. Rest in peace.
Broke as an antique dinner plate.
Antique, yeah. But yeah, I say that to Bennett's now taking over the no Jay Simpson.
No
He's like, "Man, Dad, I was just a no Jay Simpson in today's game." I'm like, "Yeah, you were, bud." He doesn't even know who OJ is, or like he just knows no Jay, you know.
There's so many different sayings. But yeah, if you're from the Midwest, shout us out on like some weird Midwest shit that you're about for sure.
And I think going into a different topic, but it kind of plays with the Midwest. I think one of the big things that's probably bigger in the Midwest than any other part of the country is the game shows.
Everybody in my family loved game shows. The Price is Right was a staple. You'd cut school just so you could stay home and watch The Price is Right.
And if you were sick, you know, like, well, at least I get some prices right.
Exactly, you know. And Jeopardy in my house was
Religion,
incredible.
yeah.
I mean, like, we had to watch Jeopardy.
Well, it came
every
on
day.
at the same time.
Exactly.
Families could plan dinner around it.
Yeah.
And it was on for decades. You know?
I mean, like, it was cutthroat Jeopardy in our house. You know, like it
good
was
stuff.
It was crazy. But I mean, like, yeah, game shows were huge. I loved $20,000 Pyramid back in the day. I used to love Hollywood Squares back in the
Had
day.
all
dog.
the stars, man. Anybody great on TV at that time, man? Because I had the introduction
Like
of each
Rip
one right
Torn.
before it, like and so, and it had
Yeah.
that guy had the best voice. He did all the game shows. The same guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, and today, Rosie O'Donnell. you know,
Yeah,
and then she'd
dude.
be like, do something goofy.
Circle
you know?
gets the square.
Yeah.
I used to love Hollywood Squares. $20,000 Pyramid. Yeah. Wheel of Fortune.
Press Your
Jeopardy. Press Your Luck.
Because that was
son.
like one of the
Hell
first
yeah.
ones
Big
that
money,
had
no
like
whammies.
on-screen like little animations.
The
stuff, which was cool.
original whammies on Press Your Luck were so sick. They come out like Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah, they
and
would have all
shit,
different kinds.
dude,
Like man, whoever was doing that
was
ahead of the
hot,
game,
bro.
man.
Hell yeah, dude. That guy, give that guy a raise. Shout out whoever did the Press Your Luck whammies, man. That shit was so dope back in the day.
I've been on the road working quite a bit, so going back to being an introvert.
Yeah.
So I go to work and then I go directly to my room.
Yeah, chill
because
out.
I stay at a hotel that feeds me breakfast and
Sure.
they feed me dinner. So
Nice.
like I really don't have to ever leave. And I go there and I throw the game show network on, whether I'm watching or not. I may be
Yeah.
doing something. So you know, because now
Surfing your phone, some background
yeah,
stuff.
because hotels are cutting costs. So, and one of the things they did, they took the pad of paper out. And so
Yeah.
usually when I go to a hotel, I would sit and I would just sit and write and
Yeah.
just write stuff. And they can't do that anymore. So I just throw the TV on and look at my phone or play a phone or read something. And I love the game show network. I just throw it out on that because I'm
Yeah.
not really watching it, but at least I might be able to catch our buddy Mike Sullivan's commercial or watch his episode that he wins on the one
Yeah,
game.
'cause he's
the new
like a game show champion.
Yeah.
He's won some game shows.
Yeah. And so like I have that on in case I get to see that episode or get to see his commercial or whatever. But one thing I've started to notice, and I'm wondering, is that it seems like, especially with the new version of the Press Your Luck, is that the more energetic the person playing the game is, and the more goofy and kind of out there they are, and just like energy wise, it seems like their games go a little bit longer than the ones who aren't. So
Sure.
they're not getting the whammies as much.
Yeah, well, I mean, so I can give you a little bit of insight into this. So back when I was in college during spring break, I took a trip out to Los Angeles over spring break with my girlfriend Katie at the time. She had a brother out there who was going to Pepperdine Law School in Malibu, and we went out there and stayed with him in his apartment for like a week over spring break, and we saw like all the Los Angeles sights. And the one thing that we did was go to a live taping of The Price is Right with Bob Barker.
Yeah.
And so we had to get up at like fucking 3 a.m, go there, sit outside the studio and wait in line from like 4:30 in the morning until like 8 o'clock when they opened the gates.
Jesus.
It was horrible doing that, but we fucking get in, and then they basically sit you outside underneath like this big covered like kind of bench seating area, prepping you to come into the studio. They're setting up all the games and the shows or whatever, getting Bob in his makeup and the girls or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then so they give you your name tags and your ticket, and you put your name tags on, and then they start wheeling people in about 12 at a time. And I'm like, what's going on? They keep like, pulling 2 benches at a time. And I'm like, oh, I guess they're like seating them so they don't want people to go crazy or whatever. So they finally call up our group, and it's about 6 of us, me and Katie, and just the other like random people that were with us. And they get about 6 or 8 of us at a time, and then they pull us up into this line where we're sitting in front of 3 who I assume are producers of the show. They're like sitting in chairs, and they come up, and then they start asking us all rapid fire questions real big. Like, hey, where you from? Hey, why'd you come to see The Price is Right today? What's your favorite game? What would you do if you got called up onto the thing? And they were absolutely gauging your answers and your personality and your ability to, be telegenic, and that's who they determined who would be called up. Yeah. So it's 100% correct, your assumption that, the more boisterous and, wild and crazy or nice or demure or whatever they're looking for, those people get 100% more airtime and precedent.
Yeah. And I mean, I can see that. I was just, I've noticed on the new one watching that new Pressure Luck, it's like the people who are just out there, like they had like the degenerates.
Big money, let's go.
They had this one guy who was a degenerate gambler, and that's why they had him on there, because they knew
he was going to go crazy.
He wasn't walking with nothing.
Yeah,
that guy was spending everything.
He was going for it. Yeah.
And I mean, that guy, because at one point, man, and he was really entertaining, but at one point, man, he was up around like 90 grand.
Dang, that's big money.
Yeah, for Pressure Luck.
That's big money.
And he just he's like, nope, I got 7 spins, I'm using them all. And I'm just like, gee, next spin loses everything. Last whammy, too, and it's like, boy. And then you had this other family
he pressed his luck.
He wasn't super energetic, but he was into the game, and this guy ended up winning all because the prize, how they do prizes is that they ask the contestants what's some things that you might like in your life, and then they just keep throwing. It's like, all right, well, this next round you could walk away, but we've added it, and then they're like, oh my gosh, we've been talking about this.
I know.
This would be like, and then one of them was like with this guy and his wife, and it was like it was a minivan with a camper.
Oh, sick.
And then he was like, we've been talking about wanting to start taking trips, and it's like, and then he was in the military, so they had to get married real quick before he left, and so she never got the wedding. So one of the gifts was, on this next round, we're throwing in an all paid for 25 guests wedding at the Disney Princess Castle.
Dang.
And she's a huge Disney fan, and she didn't get the wedding. She's like, and they're like, oh yeah, I never got my wedding. This would be, so they keep kind of pushing that in there to keep you going.
Sure.
But like, this dude was slaying. He ended up winning. He won every single prize, and he walked away with like $270,000 on top of every prize.
Boy.
And but like, he wasn't over crazy or anything, but he was very likable, and he kept putting his hands over his mouth, like nervous, and was like into the game, and like, but he was real kind, and like, so it's like, I wonder if because because
producers are looking for different things
but
at
the
different
game's
times.
controlled a little bit,
Well,
right?
Sure.
You know, since that one boy came and got them, figured out their
The
algorithm, and all
Pressler
that.
Luck boy, yeah.
And
There's a
that's like-
documentary about a guy who memorized the initial patterns back in like the late 70s and early 80s. They only had like 6 or 8 of the patterns on the Press Your Luck where the squares would jump around on the whammies or the prizes, and he memorized the patterns
and the timing
and
the
timing
pressing of.
and he got on the game, and they were taping live back then.
Yeah.
In the 70s and 80s, and like they were like, this guy was dominating. He
Cleaned
had
house.
no whammies, was getting extra spins and money every time. He had like 15 spins and like $60,000 in 1980,
Yeah.
which is huge money.
Don't break the show.
And like the producers are calling like the executives and being like, what do we do? And like they ended up like letting him go, gave him his money, and like ended up like banning
He's
him.
banned and stuff.
obviously.
They had a big thing where they were like, we're not paying. You cheated. It's
Yeah,
like,
and
I
he's
didn't cheat.
didn't cheat. You just didn't
You-
have
you
enough
didn't upgrade your
variety."
shit, you
That's
know?
right, man. He
And
just
you should
gamed
let
it.
the man have his money. Yeah, ban him or whatever. But
You
like,
can't play your game anymore, but you pay the
Yeah.
man his money.
but he made your
Period.
show
He
better.
beat me.
If you look at him and be like, all right,
Straight up.
he's figured shit up, so he's gonna make the show better. Now we know that this could happen.
Yeah.
So how do we make this better? You
Yeah.
know, instead
Anybody
of being
who
mad
can
at
rig
somebody.
a game show and win absolutely deserves to win.
Yeah, because the game itself's rigged for you to lose. So if
Yeah.
you can find out how it's made and how things are running, that should be a victory.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
like game shows, man.
I do
wish
too.
I could get on a game show. That'd be sick.
Let's do a top 3. Just keep it simple at first. And,
Top 3 game shows.
Yeah, like of all time, whether they're on now or not.
Number one's got to be Jeopardy for me. I mean, I fucking love Jeopardy. I've watched so much Jeopardy. I've tried to get on Jeopardy when I lived in Chicago. I took the
Yeah, I
tests
remember
and
that.
shit, and I couldn't do it. I came close, but I mean, it's definitely Jeopardy number 1. Got to be Price is Right number 2 for me. I mean, it's just a classic. I've seen Bob Barker in person. I love that show. Number 3 could be almost anything, you know,
Yeah.
just any nostalgia factor game, really, for me. Like, again, I liked Hollywood Squares. I liked $20,000 Pyramid. I liked Press Your Luck. I liked Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. What was the game with the red-haired bitch, the weakest link? Who
The
would,
weakest
like,
link. Goodbye.
She would like trash people.
Man, she was-
loved that shit for the first
Man,
year it was
she
out.
was sharp.
Cold that
Yeah,
lady was.
she was sharp with it, man.
Yeah, dog. That
No
bitch would be
smiling, nothing.
trashing
Lay it
people.
into you,
I
man.
loved her, man. She was like the game show house. You know,
Yeah,
like I
well, she
loved
was
her.
Trebek in a sense.
Yeah,
she was
Trebek
a
always
female
be
Trebek.
shitting
Yeah,
on
because that's
people,
people are
too.
like, oh,
He was
Trebek. And don't get me wrong, Trebek was awesome, but so
Yeah.
many people would dog on him for being, you know, a dick. It's like,
He's
yeah,
a G.
but the
I
thing
loved Alex
is,
Trebek.
the reason I think that he's like that in that sense is because it's to be on that show. It's a high caliber.
Shit,
and so when you're
that's the best trivia show in history.
and if you're gonna let a little nervousness miss a question that he knows you knew the answer, but you let other things, he's gonna stab you a little bit with
love it.
some
I
sarcasm or
loved
some
Trebek,
sharpness.
dude,
You know,
man, he was the best.
he was great.
Love Trebek.
Speaking of Wheel of Fortune, man, he's done. Like,
Sajak?
yeah, I mean,
He's
so-
retiring like this year, and
Yeah.
Seacrest is taking
He's
over.
so good at it though. Like it just comes off the way he does it. Like he's a
Been doing it
champ
too
at
long.
it, man.
I mean, well,
but
yeah,
like
he's the guy.
he does it with
He's
zero
like we were
effort.
just talking
like,
about. He's had every conversation with the contestants that he can, and he's over it at this
Yeah.
point. He's had the same conversations, the same prizes,
Yeah.
the same quips.
It just
he's been
comes
doing
so-
that 50 fucking
Yeah,
years.
it's
too.
just like it comes so easy, and it looks like he's just like, let's go to work. You know, like here we
Yeah.
go. This is what I do.
Should
like,
let
it
Vanna
ain't
take
nothing to
over.
him.
Get Vanna up front for once. Let her do
She'll
it.
probably retire too.
I mean, she still looks good.
They made those guys have made tons of money just doing that.
Vanna
just doing
White
that.
is a professional letter turner for 15 years. She got to be worth what, $10 million probably.
More, I'd say she's worth more than that.
$10 million.
She's done it for a long time. She was a model before
40
that.
years.
She was a successful model
she's been
before
doing
that.
full time. I remember there was like a pay discrepancy, and I remember like she got like carpal tunnel from turning the old letters. So then they got the LED touch screens where she just had to touch
Yeah.
them.
BJ, can you look up and see how much Vanna White's
How much
worth?
is Vanna White worth? I'm saying $10 million.
She's got to be in the 50.
No way.
Yeah.
Pat Sajak $50 million.
No, Pat's up.
Vanna White
These
$10
people,
million.
these people are invested in other things. That's the thing. It's not
Pat
just
Sajak,
they aren't just
50
doing
million.
this and be like, oh, I'm good. No, they've got
No
money
way,
in other
bro.
places. They're doing things in other things.
Vanna White is not worth $50
Do you know how many
million
commercials and shit?
$50 million? Get
Worth?
the fuck out
Yeah.
of here, bro. You're crazy,
Yeah.
dog. What's the answer?
Well, I'm not going to give the net worth. There was a question: is how much does Vanna White make?
How much does she make? Let's see what she makes annually.
So I have both questions. She makes $10,000 an episode,
10 G's.
10 G's a day.
and
That's not a
that's an
day.
episode.
That's
She makes
episode.
62,000 a day. So because they do multiple episodes,
Right.
They do 6 episodes in a day. I guess like a full 8-hour day.
Yeah. Her estimated net worth, obviously we have to take this with a grain of salt, is Vanna White net worth, according to Celebrity Net Worth, Vanna White is worth $85 million.
$85 million.
When you're making 60 grand a day,
85.
you invest in other
God
things.
damn.
She does commercials. She
That's
does all kinds of
fucking
shit.
crazy. Didn't she do like a Weight Watchers or something?
Yeah,
too,
she's
or
done
something
everything.
Like
Like she was a
that? Or
huge
Slim
star.
Fast?
Like her second year of that show on, she was massive.
fine,
Yeah,
bro.
but that's the thing. She was the sex appeal TV. She was a model. She did commercials.
$85 million. That blew my
So
mind.
Payjack's-
What's Sajak?
Sajak's
worth?
200.
1982 is when she started.
Damn, that's 42 years ago, bro.
been banked
That's our whole life.
She makes as much money in a day
What's
as
Sajak
what
worth?
majority of
200
people
million?
make in a year.
Sajak got to be worth at least double.
Well,
that,
it did
right?
say
saying
that
250.
basically because also some from her investments and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, when you
Sajak
make
gotta
that
be
kind of
worth
money, when you're
250
making
then.
60 grand a day, you're investing in other shit.
Well,
Sajak
she probably
gotta be
also
worth
has some
so
dark
much.
secrets on.
Oh, they
Pat
all
Sajak.
do. They've got some. There's been some stories of how they are like. They're really good friends, but like they go get drunk every
Behind
day
the
and
letters,
shit.
the dark side of Wheel of Fortune.
So
Behind the letters, I love it. That's good. That's good. Let's do it. Let's get it going.
they say he earns on Celebrity Wheel of Fortune, which is features celebrity contestants, blah blah blah. Sajak makes around $300,000 per episode. The outlet also reported that White hasn't had a pay increase in 18 years, according to the sources.
30 times what Vanna makes.
She doesn't. She ain't got raised. But I mean, I guess when she's doing what she's doing and making 60,000, she's probably
She's
not
worth
really
$85
complaining.
million, but you can complain about that job.
Yeah,
for
she's
it.
not gonna complain.
Give me that. Get out of here.
So that's where I was looking at, because you always got to take this with a grain of salt.
Pat Sajak, dude.
Banking.
Oh, he's only worth $75 million.
She's worth more than him.
That's according to the same website, so I
Right.
stayed consistent.
That's blowing my mind.
Well, and two with her though,
That
like,
is blowing my
She's
mind.
got, like I said though, she has more ability to sell herself in
Well,
certain
also,
ways.
Do you think she's more well known than Sajak? You ask 10 people if they know Vanna White over Pat
No,
Sajak.
they're the same person in my opinion.
Yeah.
Think
it's
exactly
Wheel of
the
Fortune.
same.
But it
They're
says
synonymous.
there's an article that says Vanna White's shocking network, the Wheel of Fortune star flips letters and houses.
Oh, there it is. I told you.
Real estate in LA, baby. Yeah,
I
she's
told
killing
you,
it.
man.
No wonder she's
when you
got
make
some
that kind of
bread.
money, you
Think
put that
about it.
in other things.
If you got some,
It's a lot of money.
how do I say this in the right way? If you get some hillbillies move out to L.A. and then Vanna White's like I can get my house in Vanna White.
Yeah.
Pay
Well,
10, put a zero on the end of it.
yeah, and that's the thing. You're paying 25-30% more just because you want Vanna White to be your
Your
rep.
landlord, your owner,
your rep, you know? So it's like,
I don't know. Nia Long was selling my house. I may pay a little extra.
oh, man, Nia Long was great. She was one of my big crushes growing up, man. I think the first time Nia Long popped up in my life was Fresh Prince.
Me too.
And then I think when she was
Friday.
Yeah. And that was like the first time we really saw like women with short hair like that pulled
That was
it
when
off.
Tony Braxton
Yeah.
first cut her hair
I mean,
short.
that was
And all those
Fine
girls.
as hell.
She's a light skinned queen.
Yeah.
She is.
beautiful.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she's sexy for sure.
Oh yeah. Did you guys? My favorite game show is Family Feud.
Yes.
Hell yeah, I forgot the feud.
Yes.
We play that online with our buddy Richie all the time on Xbox.
I love Family Feud for the simple reason is
Richard
Dawson.
making out with every female character. He groped like every
Such a
female.
creeper.
He'd kiss them on the mouth. Every single woman that would like come up to the contestant for like the final fast money.
just when he would
When they
introduce
come,
them.
yeah, he'd like
when he would
touch
talk to
them
him, like,
and
how you
grab
doing
them,
him, and
kiss
him.
him on
What do
the
you do for a
mouth.
living?
Him and Running Man, Richard Dawson as the host of Running Man, fucking fucking Italian hands pinched.
Yeah.
He is
perfect.
He is amazing. And
Love Richard Dawson.
And, I mean, Richard Dawson was great. And then one of the hosts actually committed suicide.
Was that like that short?
He was a shorter
dude,
one,
the
yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
That dude
He
was
went through a
pretty
terrible
good.
divorce.
That
and
dude
then
was pretty good.
And then we got Louis
Love
Anderson.
the
Louis
feud.
was good.
Louis
I'll
and
tell
that,
you-
and then Steve Harvey.
I'll tell you,
yeah.
Steve Harvey fucking kills it.
Yeah.
Steve
Yeah.
Harvey was made for that.
Yeah.
Like
he
he's
does
so good at it.
Louis-
He has great reactions when people give terrible answers and stuff,
Yeah.
but like he does it in a really respectful way, but it's funny.
Yeah.
And like
Feud is
he's
great.
made for that
Great
kind of
call.
shit. He was
Completely
good.
forgot
That-
about
Yeah,
Feud.
Family Feud would be when I asked Jared earlier about my top 3. Feud was going to be my number one.
Feud's number
It's
one.
Feud, Jeopardy, and Fortune, or
Yeah.
Fortune and 3 and 4 can mix match kind of thing. You know?
And my other show it's an outside, but was Stump the Swami on ESPN.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
That dude was
Stump
a
the
beast.
Schwab.
Stump the Swab. He just passed away.
Yeah,
Howie.
that dude was nasty. Son.
And then that was one of my favorite ones.
Rock and Roll Jeopardy on VH1 when they had like Matt Pinfield
Yeah,
on
yeah.
there and
I remember
shit. That was
Damn, I
really
forgot
good.
about that.
That was really
That was
good.
one of my favorites, just because you're just like, what is this guy to beat him?
He was so
What does he
good.
not know?
Yeah.
He was. That dude knew. Baseball is one of the most ridiculous statistical sports of all time,
150 years of stats.
and he knew every goddamn stat about baseball.
To beat him,
He
was-
would tell you like dude's batting averages in a year. That's crazy.
but didn't know his wife's birthday.
yeah, dude.
Didn't have
in
room.
July. It's in July
Yeah.
sometime.
Didn't
Like
have
Matt
room.
Pinfield is like that with music knowledge. Like Matt Pinfield's musical
Yeah.
knowledge is literally insane.
Matt Pinfield, was he the guy that was on the
He's like the MTV guy. He's got a bald head.
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
short guy.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he took over for Ricky Ratman, I believe, wasn't on Headbangers Ball.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So yeah, that was that, and then obviously Jeopardy was one of my favorite.
Yeah,
just
Jeopardy's
to
so
see if you were smart enough to do it.
Well,
Speaking
it
of
was-
game shows
it
and Jeopardy,
felt
guys,
so
remember
good.
Remote Control on Jeopardy? Wasn't Ben
Colin
Stiller?
Quinn.
Ben Stiller was
Dennis
on.
Leary was on there.
Yeah,
Colin
Remote
Quinn was on there.
Control. That was the dopest set where they
Yeah.
had like those recliners,
Yeah.
and then you'd like get swallowed by the
That
wall.
was
when you were done.
that was a great game show because that,
was a
related
great
to
game
us.
show. Yeah, I forgot about
Any
Remote
kind of
Control.
anything that has to do with trivial knowledge, not necessarily like when it comes or pop culture.
Sure.
I love pop culture.
Absolutely.
Like pop up video
Oh
or something
God!
like that.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say that, dude. Pop up video was
Yeah,
one of
that was
my
great.
favorite
Pop up
shows.
video.
Boop up,
And then they have the water sound.
video. Boop up.
Yeah.
Anything to do with pop culture,
Love it.
I loved. I mean, I would just try to answer their
Love
questions.
it. Love it. Love it.
Well,
love
there's
it.
a sense of
Bring back pop-up
accomplishment
video.
when you do the trivia stuff, you know, especially like a Jeopardy.
Oh, dude.
For me, because I'm not a bright, I didn't grow up with, I wasn't raised by educated people, really. So so you get like a Jeopardy question, you're like, fuck,
Yeah,
you
nailed
know,
it.
Yeah, it's
Fucking
like
nailed it. That's how it is even now, man. I play trivia all the time in Seymour, man, and I mean, like, I do pretty well at trivia. I'm a pretty good trivia player.
It's
guy.
your strength.
That's
is
kind
that
of
kind
my
of
thing
that.
is nerd knowledge and
Just-
useless knowledge.
Yeah, if it goes to certain things,
Yeah.
because we did a
But it's always great seeing the other teammates who like just will pull shit out that I don't know anything about, and they'll immediately know it, and I'm like, wow, your brain works like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
You know, like I love that.
yeah, I mean, because I didn't really study anything in school at all.
Right.
But if you know, if
Wasn't a great student. but
Yeah.
I know a lot of shit.
yeah, I mean, if you're like, who was original actress on this one or
Sure,
whatever,
yeah.
Yeah.
I dominate TV, music, and movies so hard.
music would definitely smoke me. Hip hop and me get you a little bit,
Yeah.
But we did a podcast of trivia one day.
that'd be fun.
It was Kyle Uncle Buckhouse, and I just smoked the shit out of him.
yeah.
that'd be fun.
and I just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun. I'm sure there's some sort of app or something.
I mean,
we could
There
do
is.
that.
There is.
We could
We were
just do
playing
that.
Trivial Pursuit. I mean,
Yeah.
our buddy Jim, he would just read Trivial Pursuit questions to us when we were on Xbox back in the day. He had
Yeah.
like 7 sets of Trivial Pursuit, and he'd just like grab a bunch of cards and be reading his questions when we were hanging out.
Yeah,
And it's
watch
weird to
a
know
movie.
questions of something like that when it's just like, God, what was it? They were talking about Zack Snyder, like the Batman suit. It was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's an homage to Frank Miller's.
Sure.
Yeah.
Da da da. And I started
Dark
explaining to
Knight,
my kids, and they're just like,
How do you know all that?
And they're just like, why do you over-explain it?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well,
There's been a lot of times when
I've been waiting for that question.
Yeah,
you never know.
Like,
I
I
was
have
prepared.
that knowledge. I need to get rid of it.
it's the only
oh.
thing it's used for.
Yeah.
I have one useless knowledge. It was on a TV show. Welcome Back, Kotter.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Freddie Washington, right?
Okay.
Do you know his middle name?
No.
It was actually talked about on another sitcom show where he played himself or something. It's Freddie Boom Boom Washington.
Boom,
Boom,
boom.
boom.
I think I did hear that once. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's a good nickname.
And
or
then,
good
yeah,
middle
his
name.
nickname. Yeah, it was brought up, and I was just like, I'm gonna save that.
Wonder how he got that nickname.
I'm
Yeah,
waiting for that phone call. Like, all right, this is your question for $2 million.
Yeah, there's a lot of times when I'm talking to my kids and trying to explain something, like over-explain it, and I'll just hear my wife in the background go, "They don't care, Josh."
Yeah.
Like you,
fuck,
like
you
I think
know?
over there I have the Body Count CD with Cop Killer on
Yeah.
it. Someone gave me. I'm like, in 1987, Warner Brothers Music was upset because of da, so they made him change it. And the kids are like, okay, is it worth anything? And I was like, I've been waiting to tell someone that story.
Yeah, I've got it. I've got this knowledge, and there's no other part of the life that it's for
Oh,
this situation
so
right
much
now.
information.
I told
like
someone
that in my
about
head.
I told someone about this Marquette chair that came from Milwaukee. It was from their old chairs.
Right.
Dwayne Wade played up there. I was telling someone that came in the studio, and they just like, yeah, I don't care. I was like, you don't care about stories? You're not from where we're from, then.
Yeah, you don't like stories. You don't like the reasonings, and
That must be another Midwest thing, I guess. Is just like we like relating with stories and trivia.
Yeah, we relate everything back to like.
A story.
Because if you said something about your lawnmower, I had a lawnmower story. He
Yeah.
had a lawnmower story.
yeah,
But certain stories you don't want everybody to have a story to,
Yeah.
like
Right.
murder.
Yeah.
I know. Like when I
Yeah.
killed my first person.
listen,
Yeah.
what you need is a meg
50
gallon drum of rubber and some lye.
yeah. Actually, when my decapitating a dead body experience, the head didn't come off very easily.
Transportation, sometimes it's tough for everybody.
Yeah. How did you get the smell out?
Gasoline.
But with this podcast money, we can have people kill people.
Yeah,
That's right. Like Boeing.
Yeah, we hire Boeing to do our
That's
bidding.
right. Yeah, I'm sure like they get a cut rate discount.
They're 7 years behind on their spacecraft. 7
Probably.
years behind.
and only like $800 bajillion over budget. at
It was
that
never
point.
to be built. It's just
Yeah,
it's a
it's
way
money
to
grab.
launder money. That's
Their
all this
planes
shit
just-
is. I call it on this fucking soccer stadium when they first put this soccer stadium here in Indianapolis. Look at this soccer stadium we're going to build for an 11. I immediately looked at it and I was like, that shit'll never get fucking built, and they aren't building it.
How they going to build a stadium when on the way to the game, like, hey, it's a big game today, and there's 13 people or 13 cars with flat tires trying to get there. Man, attendance is really down today. Well, we
'Cause
just
you literally can't drive on the roads because
Channel
it's
6
fucking
chopper.
Mad Max roads.
Yeah, the roads that have been nuked.
The Thunderdome roads here in Fallout Civilization.
I can't say anything. I am a very highly aggressive driver.
I am too, because I
used
just want
to
to get to where
be.
I'm going.
I
I mean, it
don't.
depends too. Like if I'm in no hurry, but I am always courteous that there are other people and that I may not be in a hurry, but there may be someone behind me that's in a fucking hurry. So there's no reason for me to lollygag around and go under the speed limit. I'm always going to go a little over, especially if someone's behind me. If I can sense that they need to get behind me, I let them get around me. You know, so it's like I'm so courteous about it. But yeah.
Midwest driving, man. Like
Yeah.
again, we said we'll take a 4-hour drive. It's only 4 or 5 hour drive, but I mean, we're like here in Indiana, we passed that law that by law you're supposed to get over right now on the interstate. People still don't fucking do it.
No,
They don't
No.
care,
no.
but by law you're supposed to do it. Fucking idiots.
So speaking of law.
The law.
A new law changed here
What
recently.
law? What law be changing?
So they rescheduled cannabis.
That's right. I did hear that the Food and Drug Administration referred to the DEA to reschedule cannabis from Schedule 1 with heroin
Right.
down to Schedule 3.
Which is all of Pfizer's products.
Yeah, which is basically your prescription pharmaceuticals, your Prozac, your hydrocodone,
Yeah.
your Oxy,
Because all that stuff's okay because Pfizer makes it.
ketamine.
So that's a
Things
good
like
thing.
that have known medical benefit
Right.
is the
Yeah.
classification
Yeah.
for it. Known medical benefit. Now marijuana is going into that for the last 60 years now at least.
Yeah.
It was up there with no medical benefit. It's a gateway drug.
Yeah, no gateway.
How
drug.
many fucking times did you hear that in the Dare shit growing up?
But the thing is Dare's the one who introduced me to drugs. Like, I didn't know shit about drugs.
I didn't know anything. I didn't
until
know
they brought
what
and showed them
drugs
to me.
were, and they brought in that case full of drugs.
Yeah, and
Remember
then-
the cop that had they have it out at the fair in the Dare
Yeah,
thing, and
yeah.
they'd be like, "Oh, look, here's like some weed. Here's what heroin looks like. Here's some cocaine."
Yeah,
and
I
be
didn't
like,
know that
"Oh
shit.
yeah, thanks for the fucking schooling
Yeah,
here."
thanks for telling
That's
me.
one
Hey,
of the things I do
Yeah.
remember from school is seeing all
what's
the drugs
the-
with the Dare guy.
what's the
What was
best way to weigh it?
What was that drug dog's name in like the trench coat?
Gruff.
McGruff.
McGruff, Detective McGruff or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. McGruff had a Trans Am or whatever. Remember
With
the damn
T-tops.
car? Yeah, it was a Trans
Joe
Am.
McGruff.
You know, he ended up
bro.
just eventually just taking money from
Oh,
people
yeah.
like bribes.
Yeah,
Dare
he got
keep
down on
your
his
kids
luck.
Off
Yeah.
of drugs.
He was
Gateway drug.
McGruff was doing drugs on the way to tell kids not to do drugs. He's like a retired
God,
detective,
So
divorced.
think about that, man. Think about the marijuana's been legal in California for 20 years now, you know.
It's been a minute.
And now it's legal or decriminalized in what, like 30 states, a bunch.
It's close, yeah.
A lot of states. Think if you're somebody sitting in a Mississippi prison doing life in prison for having a joint in 1975.
Yeah.
And now there are like billion-dollar cannabis companies, you know, in Arkansas.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they've in a lot of states that have gone through and changed it. They have released prisoners.
Well, they're great. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like some of
but
the past
you fucked their lives up.
administrations
Their lives still fucked
yeah,
up.
they're felons.
You
They're
giving
never
them
going to get a new
felonies.
job. They're going to be
Yeah.
disenfranchised.
And that's
from
all.
voting.
That's all. That was the argument for many years. Was
That
just
was
quit
the entire
felonizing it.
reason why they created the drug war in the first place. The entire reason that marijuana was scheduled Schedule 1
to be super hard on it.
was to criminalize it.
Everybody
in the
had it, so you can
1960s.
throw all
It was
kinds
part
of
of the
people.
Southern strategy by Richard Nixon. And it was part of the Southern strategy. He knew that he wasn't going to win the black vote through the South, and they had just been franchised by the Civil Rights Act of 1963. They had all got their voting powers and weren't, being run away from the polls. So the new, voting bloc of black people in the South was incredibly powerful politically. So Richard Nixon knew that for him to be able to keep his office or be elected to office, he had to somehow disenfranchise thousands of those black people. So he criminalized marijuana, knowing that it was, widely used by the jazz musicians, the musicians, and by a lot of people in the South.
It shut down. It didn't just affect black people; it affected black businesses.
Everything, So they
all that.
decriminalized that, and that's when they, created the prison industrial complex, as I like to call it in this country, which is completely off the rails at this point. They're outsourcing all of these prisons. States are selling prisons to private companies who are then slashing these costs drastically, giving these prisoners like sawdust in their food and shit, giving them rotten food, inadequate facilities and clothes. I mean, I understand that they're prisoners, but these are also still human beings.
But what you have to understand is
I
that they're
hate
not
that
just
shit.
prisons. These people have
They're slave
they
labor.
they have investors that they have to make happy.
Well, that's why
Because
they're selling
private
into the
companies.
private companies.
You can
Gotta
buy
make the,
stock in the prison systems in America.
Absolutely, that's big money.
And when you can buy
Billion-dollar
stocks
corporations.
into a prison, you probably have to start rethinking what the prison is and what the prison
Alabama's
needs to be doing.
biggest state expenditure is just opening next year. It's a $1.2 billion prison.
The state that where a lot of people make like $9,000 a year,
That's right.
living below
So,
poverty
like,
line. You mean that state?
It's all very intentional. The scheduling of drugs like marijuana, which everybody knows now. Like what 68% of the country thinks it should be decriminalized
Yeah.
or
And the thing is
legalized.
that-
Even people like my parents who are boomers.
That's the thing is
they don't give a shit anymore.
For 50 years, the argument that every people, all citizens have ever had was quit making it a felon.
Yeah.
Quit felonizing this to where somebody gets caught with marijuana. Sure, if you want to put them in jail for a little bit, this and that for it, and punish people for it, that's fine. But quit giving them felons.
Felony records.
Because what
for
you're
it.
doing is you're taking a 17, 18-year-old kid who
You're
gets
ruining
caught
their
with
life.
with a joint, and then you're ruining them for the rest of their life for something they did at 18.
And then they're forced to go down a path of crime.
Yeah, what else are you going to do? Because they're a felon. And you're going to be like,
That's
well, you're going to get
real
out there.
gateway
Yeah.
is when you take someone's future away for a joint when they're 18, when you make dumb decisions
Yeah.
and do stupid things and try drugs because you're bulletproof.
Yeah.
You want to try them when you're 19 because that's when you're supposed to do drugs.
Yeah, you're supposed
to.
Yeah.
You don't do drugs when you're fucking 45 or whatever for
No,
the
you
first
do,
time.
You do drugs if you're going to do drugs for the first time, you do it at 18, 19, or you do it at like
19.
70, 75.
Yeah, when you're gonna die,
who gives
who
a
cares
fuck?
what's gonna happen?
I mean, I'm hammering out some hard drugs if
Yeah,
I
I
make
mean,
it to 75.
No doubt, bro. Give me
trying
the
all the shit I
Give me
never
the
wanna
heroin
try.
and the coke and the fucking
Yeah.
LSD and
Let's
all that
see what
shit.
this
Let's
shit is
get it.
about.
Let's get it.
But that's the thing too. Like you just that's all people have ever really wanted was just to quit making it a felony. And
It's
you're
just dumb.
because you're ruining somebody's life because we don't like ruining anybody's life based off of something they did as a kid or when they were younger. It's dumb. People change, but you've completely taken away anything they have because of something they did as a kid, and you're punishing their future as an adult, and you're saying there are no second chances.
yeah.
But you're saying, oh well, he'll be released. That's a second. That's not a second. You're releasing
He's been
them
rehabilitated
handicapped.
by society. Yeah,
You're
but I mean, no one will
handicapping their
hire him
life.
because he's got a felony.
And what do you think they're going to have to do then?
Yeah,
They're going to end up right back in jail because jail's easier because they can't work out there to make money, and you have to have money to
Two
live.
different
So I'll just go in
societies.
here where I don't have to make money to live and get taken care of
Yeah,
and get everything I need. You know?
I mean, there's definitely we can agree and rant about the the prison industrial complex and the carceral state of the United States, where the land of the free that holds the 25% of the world's prisoners. Ha ha ha! That's hilarious. But I mean, the one thing that is most important to me from the rescheduling is what it allows existing marijuana companies to do in the legalized states is to have access to federal banking now.
right.
Which was a huge, huge problem and liability for them before,
Huge.
because they had to use cash for everything.
Yeah,
they had
and
to pay their distributors.
People
in
were getting
cash.
killed and hurt because of this
Huge
shit.
warehouses full of pallets of hundreds of millions of dollars under 24/7 armed guard for some of these California dispensaries, because they'd have to be buy $10 million worth of marijuana from a farmer, a big industrial farmer, to sell it, So
Well,
that's a big part of the rescheduling, and that's going to clean up a lot of the issues with the
It was
the federal
also
market.
what that did in California was that it kept growers growing.
Yes.
Because they had no idea really to keep track of how much is being sold.
Right.
We don't have any records of that. So then it got to the point where California was spending time and money burning marijuana that's gone
They
bad.
had over
people
too much of it, had a glut of it. Yeah.
people who don't know much about cannabis and things like that. Cannabis, just like many flowers, it can dry out. It can also become moldy.
Yeah, it can
So,
carry spores.
Yeah,
and
it can.
other
So
pathogens and
LA
pests.
was getting, or California was getting to the point they had so much because they didn't have information to give to growers. They didn't have information. They had there was no connection. It was still a
Wild
black
West out
market
there, yeah.
with storefronts. It was a black market with a storefront. And so there was no this and that. So there had so much cannabis that they had to start burning cannabis, and they had to get rid of stuff like that. And so, yeah, rescheduling helps with banking. It's also going to help with the study. I mean, one of the biggest
Right.
issue with cannabis is that
There were federal prohibitions on scientific study,
Right.
except for the one at the University of Mississippi.
Yeah,
I
there
think.
was one that,
and they were using the dirtiest old brick.
It wasn't
weed.
real. It wasn't real cannabis,
And they were they had a few people who were legally allowed to smoke it, and were running tests
it
on them. But
wasn't-
that was the only federally funded marijuana
Right.
project for 50 years.
But the reason they did that is because they could always say then, well, we
We've
don't
done-
know.
yeah.
We don't know.
With the
well,
science
go
is
figure it the
still
fuck
out.
out then.
Yeah,
We have all
exactly.
these brilliant people
No
now
doubt. We can put a
that
dude
can
on the
figure
mood, but
stuff
we
out.
can't figure out,
Yeah.
what CBDs do.
Right.
Give me a fucking break.
And right now with cannabis, an issue with cooking with it. So making edibles, drinks. There's a place in California when I was visiting. There's a dispensary across from the hotel I was at. I was like, I'm gonna go. I've never been to a California one. I'm gonna go check this out. Beautiful facility.
Yeah.
They had a bar inside where they served infused drinks,
Right.
Desserts.
Sure.
They had board games on the bar where you could
Yeah.
sit and play board games with people. I was
seen
like,
those
this is
places.
fucking cool.
Yeah, they're
Come
really
in here,
nice.
have an infused coffee with some little flavored cannabis. So But the issue that they're dealing with right now is it's really hard to pinpoint exactly how much THC is in every bite
Right.
or every cookie or
Right.
every gummy. But now, and it's because they haven't been able to study it properly.
Right.
Now they're starting to figure this shit out
Yes,
now, and it's
yes.
only
Becoming
going
much
to
more
be
regulated
and
now.
but the thing with that is there's a lot of people, and I think if you haven't, if you're not someone who has taken part in cannabis or knows much about it, it's always nice to start with edibles. But right now, I don't recommend doing that for people who have never done it.
That's right.
because
you
it's
don't know how
because you
powerful
don't
they're
know.
going to be.
Right
Yeah, they're
now,
very
with
unregulated.
this, that kind of situation gets to change, and now
Right.
they'll be able to create things for beginners.
Right.
They have stuff for people who need pain, who need to sleep, who need energy. They have all these other things. Now we can figure out for people who want to start experimenting or want to give it a try. They're going to be able to pinpoint these things. Anything we ever need in our country, in America, we just need the right to study it, and we'll figure it out. We have brilliant people in this country that can figure shit out. That's why we're still here. It's why we're one of the number one countries in the world. It's because we can figure shit out. But we just need to allow that, and that's been a big handicap to people.
Yeah. And I mean, that's personally for me, the most frustrating thing about living in Indiana specifically, being a Republican dominated state with the governor, the state legislature is all a Republican supermajority. Most of the political affiliations in the state are Republican. And with that being said, Republicans are traditionally, anti-drug, hard on crime, the party of law and order. So it's very unlikely anytime here in the short term that it's going to become decriminalized or medicinally available in Indiana. And there are a varying number of reasons for that. The most prominent being one, Eli Lilly being the largest employer of the state. They're a pharmaceutical company, so it doesn't behoove them to legalize something that's going to undercut the products that they sell.
Right.
And as being the largest political contributor in the state, they have a lot of say in being able to regulate that. But you think about it from an analytical standpoint, Indiana. We're an incredibly agrarian economy here. We have one of the largest infrastructures for farming in the entire country.
The best school.
We have the best agricultural school probably in the country in Purdue University in Lafayette. We have a very large and robust infrastructure here inside of Indiana with regards to farming. So I mean, all the legwork and groundwork for, legalization and, mass production here in Indiana would be so huge, and the tax revenues, just cannot even be denied. You look at a place like Colorado, who's, fully funding their schools. I think they have like one of the largest STEM school fundings in like the whole country. They're teaching their kids engineering and tech and math, all based off of their cannabis sales. So
Indiana could probably get rid of the potholes with it.
yeah,
They're-
think about this for like an ad campaign. Pot for potholes.
There we go.
You just sell the pot. All the 80% of the revenues go to fix the roads. We got the best roads in the country. We need them because 90% of the vehicles on the roads around here are goddamn semis. Taking some goods somewhere.
A lot of weight.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean it. And the thing with Indiana's in a situation now that we're surrounded, but other than Kentucky below us, every place is legal.
Legal, yeah.
Fully
Ohio's
legal, recreational legal.
Michigan is legal.
And then, so you got Illinois, you got Ohio, you got Michigan and Missouri. So like we're not just surrounded, we're double surrounded. So
Right.
even the state on the other side of the
Right.
state next to us
We're an
is
island.
fucking
Yeah.
is legal. So
Which
are you
is
going to
so
spend
frustrating.
money? Are you going to spend money to
Police
protect
them?
police the
Yeah.
borders?
Dumb.
They've decriminalized in Marion County. So
Yeah.
it's like up to like an ounce or 2 ounces, which is fine. That's a lot of fucking
yeah,
weed.
the local ordinances are doing that more.
And I know
more.
that a lot of places are starting to be a little more lenient on people when people aren't getting arrested for a joint anymore unless
It's
they're
so dumb.
unless they're the reason the cop's talking to them about something else,
Right.
and then
Wants
it's like a joint
reason
comes
for
out. It's like,
him.
okay,
Yeah,
it's
he's
like
looking for a reason
now
to
we've got
bust him.
two things that you did fuck. You
But I mean,
fucked up,
that's
but-
part of it as well. This police state and the over policing of everything in this country. You know, it's ridiculous. But I mean, I'm glad they did it. The DEA drug their feet for months and months and months on this rescheduling.
Well, it was what, 2
thing.
years?
2 years.
They hired that company or whatever to go in,
dude,
and
I mean, that's just this country. They'll drag their feet on everything because it doesn't behoove the DEA to reschedule it. They want to bust, people's heads for pot on the border or whatever when you got, this fentanyl shit fucking killing millions of people.
But that's the thing. I think Colorado gets more money from the DWIs than they did from arresting people for pot possession.
Right.
So, like, you're still going to get the DWI, and I'm fine with that. If you want to arrest people for stoned out of their fucking mind trying to drive, I get it.
Yeah.
It's the same with drinking,
Sure.
and that's all I ever asked for. Street is the same thing. You got this shit. You got people
Right.
putting this in their system driving
Right.
around.
Yeah. What's the difference?
So the whole argument's like, well, it's going to take the money away for no, my money's still going to be there. You're still going to get tickets, and you're still going to get arrested for people who are abusing the right to do this drug. The same as people abuse the right to use firearms. They abuse the right to drink alcohol. They abuse the right to drive in general.
Right.
So like people are going to continue to abuse it.
Yeah.
But
That's human nature.
but the thing is that but when you're changing the scheduling and you're decriminalizing and you're legalizing it, you're taking away the
repercussions,
what-
the negative repercussions.
but you're taking away the ability for the people. How I'm trying to say, like, so like when someone gets pulled over for drinking or whatever or driving and this and that, you can stack things on top of that.
Right.
Reckless driving.
Yeah.
Like even though
Additional charges,
Yeah, and
just
so-
to kind of put the weight
so
on them.
but when you're legalizing it, you're taking some of that away
Right.
from
You
the
don't
power.
have the
Yeah.
ability to
Yeah.
stack these charges.
You
'cause
don't
they're-
have the
it's not
ability for
legally-
the people who run the show to abuse the power.
Sure,
And
yeah.
that's why I
It's
think a
all
lot of
power,
places
and
don't
I mean,
like
that's,
it.
That's how it all is. It's a power dynamic, that's existed for a lot of time, and I mean those are incredibly hard in this country to change.
Yeah.
Period. With regards to anything, it's a step in the right direction. I just it's smart politically.
Yeah.
Like it's smart.
Yeah.
Everybody wants that. Do things that the majority of the country wants is a smart thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people get all bent out of shape out of this
point
shit.
of politics.
That's what I'm saying.
Is to do what
popular
the majority
things,
of us
yes.
want our lives
But
to do.
I mean, like, whatever. I mean, that's an entirely different conversation. But yes, I mean, I'm glad that they rescheduled it. I'm happy that a joint won't send you to jail in certain places for life right now.
I just
That's
don't want to
absolutely
ruin
insane.
young people's lives
Yeah.
because of something. And this is the thing
Anybody's
is like
life.
I've done things when I was young that could have ruined my life, and I was lucky I didn't
For
get
sure.
caught. And I don't want to see young people because it's that whole saying, man, like imagine all the Beethovens and the great architects and the
Sure.
doctors and stuff that we threw in prison because of something they
Right.
did when they were 18 years old, and we took away all of that, not just from them, but from our society.
Right.
We're always talking about how we want these
Cure
people
for
these
cancer,
people
yeah,
need to or
these
these
do
people need
this.
to do what society
Yeah,
society has
become a
agreed on
productive
and be
member,
productive. Well,
yeah.
they can't be productive when you're handicapping them to be productive.
Yeah.
And that's all I want. I just want to see the young people quit getting fucked over some dumb shit that they did young,
Yeah,
and
make a silly
I'm tired
mistake
of
ruin their
hearing
life.
people talk down about young people, this and that. No, you were just lucky you never got caught. Because
Right.
you can't tell me you weren't doing dumb shit when you were at a kid too, or you
Yeah.
didn't say dumb shit and all this stuff. We're all lucky. Anyone older at our age and older than us, we're every single. I don't care if you didn't have friends in high school. I don't care how popular, non-popular. We all would have been fucked if we had social media and cell phones at our age.
Yeah, dude.
It doesn't matter.
It's-
And now
yeah.
we have a generation of kids doing that and living this new fucking idea of life. And sure, it's going to be the life they're growing up in, but we have to try to show some empathy and understanding that it's not the way it used to be. Well, when I was younger, no, it's not. That's
Yeah.
when you were younger, it's different. It's different
was
now.
way different.
And I think with a law like this, we're kind of moving towards that on stopping this
A
fuckery
more
of young
equitable
people.
society. Yeah, I mean, like, because the generation that's growing up now, like your children's generation, are the most over medicated generation. They're most depressed generation. They're the most over marketed generation. They have so many hurdles in front of them now that we didn't have, and the people before our parents didn't have. And I mean, it's an entirely new world navigating out there for them that even we who are, somewhat savvy to their generation and their struggles and can perceive some of it. I'm sure there are so many things that we're missing that we don't understand is going on.
Right. Well, the thing is that our brains are different than theirs.
Absolutely.
So like these kids aren't just going through stuff like that. They're going through it in a stage where their brain and their body is evolving and growing.
They're becoming who they are.
Overstimulated and all this shit. So like, it's just a different world. And things like this, I think, can help.
Let people do what they want to do in their own body is what I'm saying. Yes, you can police if they want to like smoke and drive or whatever. That should be illegal. I absolutely agree with that.
When what you're doing is endangering other people,
of course. But if you want to, if you want to do fucking heroin in your house by yourself, go fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
Take all the heroin you want. You know?
As long as you're not robbing people to get it.
If it's just only affects you in the security of your own home, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want. If you're going to take heroin until you die, that's your decision. If you want to eat fast food until you die of heart disease, that's your decision.
You want to drink three big gulps a day? However much pop you want to put in.
3/5 of Jack Daniels a day,
it's going to affect your loved ones.
Sure.
Because you're going to be dead, but it may affect you. But if you
personal freedoms, my friend, they are sacrosanct, and your bodily autonomy should be the most personal of all freedoms.
Yeah, I agree.
So what you put into your body should be your choice wholly, as long as it doesn't affect another person's life. So I mean, that's the most important thing for me of this decriminalization. It allows, obviously, something that's used by a wide variety of people very clearly to give them a modicum of relief from either pain, anxiety, hunger, sleep, whatever it may be. It makes their life a little easier, at least from their perception. And I'm all for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
People who just can raw dog life, like they don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't drink coffee, they don't,
My hat, tip the hat to you.
If you can just raw dog life like that, you're a goddamn animal.
Good for you. Yeah.
You're much more powerful than me because my brain is my own worst enemy, and sometimes I got to shut it off, man.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I use cannabis is for that. And there was a stage in my life when it was actually doing the opposite, and it was getting bad.
Yeah, you stopped.
And I stopped for a little bit and figured it out. There's different types of stuff, so I was able to go and get off the sativa stuff that is at this certain percentage, this and that, because people have studied it now.
Right.
You're getting more information, and I was able to go and figure out.
You're not just going to a dealer and getting whatever. You can go into a store and I can get trades and strains of things.
I can get an indica that has a certain strain, it has a certain THC level to it. It has all these little things that it matches up well with me, and now I can take a couple hits off something and just relax and shut down.
And the science, you were talking about as well. I mean, the science also has now had the proliferation of the CBD market. The CBD has nothing to do with getting high or having any kind of mind-altering effects.
And it's
the
obviously
CBDs
done
are all
really well.
Anti-inflammatories and medicinal. They're great for sprains and muscle pains and arthritis. Like when my mom had her knees and hips replaced, like she got a CBD like lotion that she said was better than any painkillers.
Right. And I mean, and I don't know number wise with CBD, but I know that everywhere I drive around, they're fucking everywhere.
They're everywhere.
So they're doing well.
Yes.
People are using them. People like it, and it's actually showing effect. Now, this isn't stuff. Same with cannabis. Cannabis isn't going to be talking about freedoms here. Cannabis isn't going to be the answer for pain for everybody.
No.
But there's people that can, and it should be an option.
Absolutely.
And that's the same thing with having a freedom.
Yep.
We let doctors give people ketamine and fentanyl and shit to heal things. So why can't we just, and those things fucking kill people.
Yeah.
So why can't cannabis be an option? Why can't a doctor be like, okay, this is what you have. This is the deal with. So here's some options of some things that have helped other people.
Right.
With the same situation you're doing in, you take your option. We'll start here, whatever you choose. We'll
Right.
go with this. If it doesn't work, we move to the next one. We'll
Right.
get this figured out together.
Yeah.
So why can't cannabis be one of those things? You know, and that's been an argument for
just social stigma.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean,
Well,
it
propaganda.
goes-
billions of dollars of propaganda.
reefer madness and
Yeah.
shit like that, all the way back into the 40s, man. And
Yeah.
again, it was just a politically opportune thing to make it illegal to be able to bust down on minorities and people from the counterculture in the 60s.
Yeah. So I am excited. I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah.
It's
a
nice
no-brainer.
Nice to see the needle moving on it.
It is. It's nice to see your government do something that makes sense to a majority of people.
Yeah.
And not this partisan, like, brinkmanship politics that's so popular of late. It's good to see,
Yeah.
you know, a win for everybody.
And hey, we're going to see issues. There's going to be problems. There's
course.
going to be kids who have some issues with it. There are going to be those things because there's always
They
those
already
things.
exist already.
And those things are anytime anything new comes about, there's issues until we figure it out. An issue we have in our country a lot of times is we don't let things figure themselves out. We try something new for 6 months to a year. Well, look at all these negative things. It's not working. Throw it out the window. No,
Right.
like we're human and we're American. So those things we're going to have that. We have to let those things work. Colorado, when it first came out, husband eats edible, kills family. Oh yeah? Well, they did $100 million in sales that month. That guy did that.
Yeah,
So that
right.
means 99.9999999% of the fathers didn't fucking do that. So why are we focusing on this one guy? He was probably a psychopath to begin with, on the verge of doing it anyways,
Murder
and
and
took
sex
something
sells,
and
man.
lost his shit. You know, that's going to happen. Those things are going to
Murder
happen.
mayhem.
But most
Yeah.
of the time, they're not going to happen. And we got to let things work themselves out. We got to actually let something show if it's good or not. We don't ever allow those kind of things to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, when they were adding seatbelts to cars and making it a law, it was a huge ordeal to people.
Remember when they instituted DUI laws and
Yeah.
how mad everybody got
Yeah,
about DUI laws?
And then when they
I don't see
implemented
why you can't have a beer after work in your car.
Right, and I get it, and I understand it, brother, you know, but now we look back, the numbers now with car fatalities
Yeah, way
and all that
down.
are way down. And it's the same with seatbelts. I don't like wearing the seatbelt, and I understand when people are like, well, seatbelt, I can't have my own freedom, this and
It's
that.
uncomfortable.
Numbers are down because
Saving
we
lives.
stuck with it
Yeah.
and let it go work its way out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think we have to do a lot, and I hope, I hope with cannabis we're going to see that. And
It will, man.
And there's
'Cause
getting-
again, like it's too widespread that people are not concerned with it being, you know, an issue anymore.
Right.
Nobody cares. People, my parents' generation, baby boomers,
They
you
grew
know,
up
if
doing
they
it.
don't care
Yeah, they were doing it.
anymore, you know, the most conservative people out there, then nobody cares.
Yeah.
Just the most hardcore evangelical, like cops who
Yeah.
just want, you know, more nails to hammer, basically.
That's all it is. It's like I said earlier. You're taking away some of the abuse, the power that can be abused by the people who like to abuse it, and that's why a lot of times I think people look down on it. So.
Yeah, it's just part of the cult. It's been a social stigma, just like with any drug. It's just not acceptable socially, like alcohol or cigarettes are. It's dumb. It makes no sense.
Yeah,
So.
and it'll change once we start seeing
It will.
commercials
It will.
and all that propaganda.
You're already
for
seeing
all
it. You
for
got like Snoop Dogg's mainstream now selling like grills and shit. You know, like it's crossing over mainstream.
Willie Nelson's been huge.
Yeah, like
And these
Cheech
are good
and
people.
Chong,
Yeah,
like,
good
you
people,
know,
man.
Like like it's crossing over. It'll get there soon. Just everything in this country takes a million goddamn years.
Yep, drag the feet, like you said.
Yeah,
but we'll
man.
get there.
We'll
so
get
yeah,
there.
that's an exciting thing though.
Yeah. So if you guys got thoughts on the rescheduling of cannabis here, let us know your thoughts. And what do you think should be maybe rescheduled? Do you think they should move up NyQuil to Schedule 1? Man, that shit'll knock your dick in the dirt.
Yeah, that's some good stuff though.
Dude, I stole a bottle of fucking like 16-ounce bottle of NyQuil from Hooks back in the day and like blasted it in the Von Fang ditch
course
and
you
robo
did.
tripped back in the day.
Of course you fucking
It
did.
was so hardcore. I slept for like 17 hours, dude. After
Yeah.
I went hard, dude, and like freaked out for like an hour, and there's just
Oh, yeah.
immediately
Oh, yeah.
snoozing, dude.
Sleep for a fucking week.
80 pounds, drinking 16 ounces of
Fucking lucky you
NyQuil, bro.
didn't go in a coma.
Green teeth. Give me the NyQuil, bro. I need it.
So I guess the next rescheduling will be mushrooms.
Probably.
And so
Psilocybin.
the microdosing is a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
people. I personally know that in the tech world,
The
mushrooms are used
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah, well, Elon Musk was talking about microdosing ketamine all the fucking time. Like, that's how it gets him. But he's a piece of shit. Fucking.
I mean, mushrooms are they're used. They're used quite a bit. And
Anything
it's not
that's
all about,
organically grown like that should be fair fucking game. You ain't making it in a lab. This shit grows in the dirt.
Yeah, and the thing with mushrooms is that it's not necessarily about tripping and seeing crazy shit. Like if you've done for the people who maybe haven't never done it, there's a stage of it where the early stage of let's call the trip, the journey, you really feel it in your body, and you start to really calm, and everything starts to just slow down, and it's an incredible feeling. And if you can control just that part of it and not get into the visual stuff, it's very therapeutic.
Yeah.
It's really nice, and a lot more people are doing this more and more. And people they may not be telling you, but there's people that are doing this. So that'd probably be the next thing we're going to start seeing.
That microdosing is huge out in the Silicon Valley right now. The guys microdosing ketamine, and I think that's how Neil Brennan got his depression cured.
He's doing ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca.
He's got a shaman he does that with, but it's helped him a lot. He says with like his depression.
A lot of people,
and a lot of people. The thing
changes your brain chemistry.
And the thing is,
it's like
religious people. There's atheists that are doing ayahuasca and DMT and are becoming religious.
That's right.
Not necessarily on the level that you are. They don't believe in a deity,
right?
But they believe in a universe
force,
tied together. We're all tied together, and there is this greater being. It's not the guy that you got a picture of in your living room. Like it's not necessarily even a deity. It's a spiritual. It's a feeling of one's understanding with the universe,
like a Mother Nature spirit kind of
and
thing. Yeah,
and so I mean it is, and I mean there's theories from people who write back into the Bible days and stuff and say a lot of the religion came from people who were tripping on something, and just had that euphoric journey.
Yeah, drugs have been a part of humans for a long time, man. Don't restrict them.
Well, I mean,
some of them.
Yeah, don't say don't. But I mean,
like fentanyl.
I think we should start actually thinking and talking about certain stuff. I mean,
science and study can't be bad.
No, and I mean, and most of the hard drugs were something else at one point that were helpful. Heroin was helpful. It was created by Bayer. It was a painkiller.
It was a painkiller. Yeah,
and so like
cocaine, same deal.
Yeah, and so I mean,
you got ghosts in your blood. You should do cocaine about it.
Yeah, get them ghosts out. I love it. All right, guys, we appreciate it as always. And we'll see you on the next one.
Have a good weekend, y'all.
Peace.